Well, I started in February 2010, and I just quit about maybe 2 months ago.
I left in beginning of June.
We were just a number on a paper that he signed our paychecks, and that was that. Like, he didn't know our names, he didn't know us. I worked there for like a year and a half almost, and I'm sure he never even knew me.
I mean, he was coming to the restaurant and yelling at us with his with like the lady he's with, Chantal, and they were yelling at us. They were being really really mean, telling us that we were stupid and totally assholes in front of our customers, and they were also yelling at our customers. That's why I left the place. Actually he yelled at my customers, telling her that she could leave the fuck out of the place if she wasn't happy with the service, but she was only looking for me to pay her bills, actually. And she told him he was an asshole, and then he yelled at her, and that's why I left.
It was just super tense. Like, when we were working there, on our own, it was fine, everyone got along, but then he'd come in and he wanted things to be done his way, and he'd take us aside. Like, I never really I always tried to avoid him, but I saw him take other people that I worked with aside, and he'd yell at them and demean them, and just didn't really, wasn't very respectful to them at all. So yeah, it made it super awkward. Like, the customers could see that we were, being yelled at by some just awful man. So it made it really awkward for them. It was just an uncomfortable situation altogether.
I know people who worked at the other sports station, the one on Fort, and in Brossard, and also PG's. So I've heard the same thing and also Sky, the Sky Club. I've heard the same thing from everyone. He's evil. He's a monster with his customers, but also with all his employee and his managers also.
I don't know. I'm done with it. It's behind me, whatever. But I just don't feel that all the employees that work there, of all the restaurants he owns, there's so many people that are not treated well at all. And people need to do something more. We have rights as employees, and they're just not being respected at all.
Yeah, he wanted me to sign the paper as I was leaving the place because I wanted to leave the place, and I said I'm never gonna sign this paper for the employee insurances. Right. I said I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna leave this place because you made me leave it, not because I wanted to leave it.
The straw that broke the camel's back for me was that I'd done a debit transfer, or not transfer, a debit transaction, and went through. It was fine, but the printer ran out of paper, so I only had the customer copy. I put that in my cash out, fine, whatever. But that's not good enough for them. They want just the store copy, and so a couple of weeks later they sent me a thing back saying that I had to pay it, the whole $25 that I had to pay it. And I was like, well, no, it's been accepted. You have the money. Why should I have to pay it? And so I said, no, I'm not going to pay it, sent it back. Again, they sent it. And then I said, well, I told you, no, I'm not paying it. And then they started withholding my paychecks because of it, which is hugely illegal. And so I called Nom du Travail just to ask if it was legal, whatever. And I hadn't filed yet, but then the guy said, just tell them that you've talked to someone at Nom du Travail, and we'll, if they give you your paycheck, great. If not, then open a file with us. And so I called the head office and told them, look, I've talked to Nom du Travail. They've told me it's illegal, that you have to give me my paycheck and you can't deduct it without my signing off on it. And so then they kind of freaked out, and okay, well, they gave me my paycheck. But then also they split our paychecks in between two different restaurants if we worked overtime, which is also massively illegal.
I was trying to pile up the trays and doing the rolls up with the utensils, and then he came to me and he was like, I don't like your attitude with me. I don't like your attitude in this restaurant. You knew you did something bad. The ashtrays on the table weren't empty, and you should empty them before going to to serving your new customers. And also then he said, don't do so much, don't make so much noise when you pile up the trays. It's not okay, blah blah blah. And then I said, you know what? I don't need to be yelled at, and I don't deserve that, and I don't need your shitty job, so keep it for you. And then I talked to the manager, and I said, Steve, you can just cash me out, and I'm gonna leave this place. And then I did it, and I left the place. He was yelling at me. He was telling everyone that I was stupid and I was a bitch and blah 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 in front of everyone. That was something.
Oh, nothing changes. Like I think he's sort of stuck in his ways, and he's just, I don't know, he's a tyrant, and he's just like, I don't know, he's got money to spare, and so he doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks of his business or how, like he's got a niche. He sells cheap beer to students, and like, especially the area he's in, it's super transient. Like, people don't stick around there, so they don't really care what happens to the neighborhood. He
was always coming to the sports station where I was working, and it would make all the waitresses really really nervous. So they would do a bad service, because he's there and he's looking at you, he's yelling at you, he's like taking you by the shoulder and trying to grab you to tell you what to do, and you can't do your job right when you have so much pressure of someone like that. I mean, I've been working in other restaurants, and I mean, the big bosses are special, of course, but if you can't trust your managers and your employees, you're never gonna make it. Some customers are like, oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome, it's gonna be so huge, but like, really, do you want a massive 1,000 people bar of just yelling awful drunk people? Like, it's not gonna be good for the area at all. Like, as it is right now, as small as it is, there's still fights almost every night. The police get called there almost on a daily basis. Like, it's awful. And with having that many more people in it, it's just gonna be worse. It's hard to go and complain about him, because his name is really big in Montreal, and actually he owns so many restaurants and bars. He owns so much in Montreal that there's, I don't think, nothing. Well, I think there's something we can do. I wanted to write to Paul Arcand, who's one of the biggest interviewer in French radio, and I know he would call him and tell him, why are you doing this, and I mean, ask him the real questions. And I think I'm gonna write an email to him or call him. Yeah, I think we should all do that.